Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And look at this big ass tree. No, it's not a big ass, it's a big tree. But yes, it is a beautiful big tree out here. And I just discovered this spot today. So this is awesome out here, nice beautiful breeze. So if you haven't been out, come on, you can join Starlight out here and enjoy nature, enjoy that raven out there that's talking to Starlight. Those ravens, they keep an eye on me, and even the vultures now, they know when they're like, hey, we got to keep an eye on that Starlight chick out there. She's got food, guys. So anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Digman. You can also give my videos a thumbs up, plus you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can also leave me a message down below, beep, beep, beep. Don't be afraid, don't be shy, swing by and say hi, Starlight. And also you can check out my playlist, and Starlight, don't forget, you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. A snake and a goat. Also, you could check out my Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Digman Starlight. So before I start, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who are loving and supporting Starlight, who's been there from the beginning all the way to now. And those of you that might have joined just today, you might have joined today or, in between. So thank you for being here and loving and supporting Starlight. So today, it's about, we all go through this, all of us. Every single one of us go through this at one point in our life. Is like, do you have a hard time communicating with other people? It could be with your family. It could be, telling it like it is. You might have family members that have been bullying you and, criticizing you. And, when you're younger, a lot of times we kind of put up with stuff. We don't really, stand up for ourselves. And as you get older, you kind of get tired of it, where you want to say something, but you never do. And then instead of saying something, you just like, I got to get going. I got to leave. I got to go home. This could be any kind of relationship. It could even be with your boss. It could be with your boss. Have you had a boss that is mistreating you as an employee, don't respect you, and you have a hard time saying anything to your boss, thinking that, that boss is so much greater than you? They're not. They're just a boss that is giving you a job, but it doesn't mean that, you let them run over top of you, because there's a lot of people that go through that where, they're afraid to say no to their boss. They're afraid that depending on the kind of boss, or even co-workers, or even supervisors or managers, just because somebody's a manager or supervisor or co-worker, whoever, is that we don't have to let them run over top of us. We need to be that voice. We need to use their voice. We need to communicate and make sure, there's times that we want to, in certain situations, you want to have witnesses, especially when it comes to work. You want to make sure, like, when you say something, that you got other people that are witnessing the whole thing that was said, and that way, then, when it comes down to it, you could say, hey, my coworker was there witnessing, so if you're really gonna, say something to somebody, is to really try to make sure somebody's there so it protects you. Hopefully that those two people are not, you got to make sure you do this with the right people, not to have somebody's best friend to be there where they're going to go against you, so it is good to, stand up for yourself as far as like employment, like maybe you want more hours, maybe there's stuff going on at work and, nothing's happening. You need to not be afraid to let your boss know, hey, I've been asking for more hours. I have kids, but you know what? You give hours to that person, but when it comes to that kind of stuff on employment, as far as, because I've gone through this myself, is if you're going to ask for hours at a company, make sure you're working for the hours that you already were given. Don't, like, say, you get, like, say you got, like, 30 hours, but then you're calling out all the time on those 30 hours, and then that's going to be a good reason why your boss doesn't want to give you more hours, is because you're not even appreciative of the hours that the boss already gave you. So you want to make sure, if you need more hours, make sure, unless something really came up, like with family issues, that things like that, or a funeral, or health issues, or car problems, yeah, those are times to take time off. Or even if you need to self-heal, get a loan, and you're just drained and you need time off, yes. But, like, if it's just, hey, I got to go to a party somewhere and I'm taking, a day off here, a day off here, and a day off here, well, then, yeah, it makes sense why your boss doesn't want to give you any more hours and giving them to somebody else, because you're not, you're saying that you want, and this happens to a lot of people, I want the hours, but I want the money, but I don't want to work for it, kind of thing. So you don't be afraid to communicate. Make sure you know what you want to say before you say it. Make sure you're clear on what you're talking about. Make sure you got it all figured out, and plan. You got to plan. You got to, say, what, this Friday, I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk to my boss and I'm going to say what's on my mind in a good way. You don't have to be an asshole or a jerk about it. You can actually just communicate in an adult manner and get your point across. And if it doesn't go well, guess what? There's other employers that would love to hire you, as long as you are a great worker and you put the time in and you don't mess around. You could still find another employer. Don't ever feel like you're stuck, that you always got to be there. Or like Starlight did, is started my own business. You can do that. You can figure out like a business so you don't have to answer to someone. So that is the best way to go around about all this, is to start your own business. Set your own hours, your own pay, where you want to set up, make sure wherever you do, there's money flowing in that area, that location, where you can make the money that you really deserve to make. And also, like with family members, it could be your mom or dad, sisters or brothers. Like if you grew up and, this happens to a lot of brothers and sisters, siblings, is where you might have a brother or sister that bullied you your whole life. And so then when you're growing up with that person, you have a hard time ever expressing yourself, or maybe they're rude to you, maybe they're always, making you feel small. Is you got to let that go. You got to say, no, I'm not going to let that person, my brother or sister, treat me that way anymore. I am going to, I'm tired of this game that they play with me all the time. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to put up with it. And if they, if they don't really work with me on this, then you don't have to be, around people that are not loving and supporting you. Don't let people criticize you, put you down. If you do, put up with it, and you think that you have to put up with it, that's your own fault. You don't have to put up with it. You don't have to, even your parents, I know Starlight, that's my parents, but you know what? If you're not in the house living there, if you, like you have your own house, you have your own bills, you have your own job, and now it is different. Like I have to, like now if your mom and dad, if you're not able to take care of everything and they're pitching in and helping you out, and that's what you got to watch out for. It is best, really, is to take care of your own stuff, your own problems, because then you're giving them permission really to boss you around and control you, because you're giving them that power by saying, hey, you could have made it work out, but you didn't really fully believe that you could make it work out. And this is what happens to a lot of families, where they instead of taking care of the problem, they could have fixed it on their own. Instead, they go and they ask somebody. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times when you're asking for somebody to help you out in a situation where you could have done it on your own, if you just, like took more time and, to figure a way that you can solve the problem, is that, it ends up backfiring a lot of times in our face. So if they are controlling you in that way, it's kind of like, you're kind of stuck with them telling you and controlling you because you gave them that power to do so. Sorry, Starlight's got, it might be the wind out here. So, and then when it comes to relationships, and this happens, communication is key no matter who you're talking to. And when it comes to any kind of relationship, no matter what kind of relationship we are talking about, it is not easy to express yourself and let people know how, like they could have done something and they could have made you feel horrible. And then, and then what ends up happening is when you feel horrible about what somebody might have done, maybe you did something to them and you didn't even know about it. And they were upset with you. And so now you hurt them without knowing it. And you got to be careful with that, because hurt people, where, where you feel like, okay, things are getting out of control, and it can happen on both parties of any kind of relationship. So it is not easy, but it's, when you realize that, hey, something is not quite right with this relationship, it is not easy, is that, if you follow the signs, that I told you before, with the universe and stuff like that, if you're struggling with something, the universe is going to tell you, that that person's got feelings. There's times that we're not really clear, we don't really think sometimes, we do things in life. It could be your family members or a friend or a loved one, where we're not always really thinking about that they have feelings. We might do things without thinking about it, where we could hurt someone without even realizing it, and then now they're hurt, and now that they want to let you know that they got hurt. And so these things here is so hard, and you got to really be mindful if there's somebody that you really love and you really care about, and that you don't want to lose them, as far as like a relationship goes or a friend goes, is that it is not easy. Absolutely not. It's not easy to say, what, the universe told me I fucked up, I screwed up, I did something and I wasn't even aware that I hurt you, and now hurt people, and now your relationship, could be affected because of not understanding that, no matter if it's a guy or a girl, ladies, men have feelings. They have feelings, and they care, and they hurt. They have hearts. So a lot of times women can really be guilty of thinking that because men have the name of being called a man, and that they're masculine, and they have that masculine energy, is that a lot of women, including Starlight, can feel like, they don't have feelings when they really do. Is that all of us have a heart. All of us can actually feel pain, not just women. So women, please be mindful that, that our tongue could be used to lift people up or tear them down. It's a two-edged sword. It can be used as a two-edged sword. So we have to be really cautious as how we speak to our loved ones, family members, even at your workplace or wherever, even people on the street, is to be cautious of what we're saying. How is it affecting them? And there's so many things that we could do without even realizing that we affected them in a bad way. And there's a lot of times when we get hurt. Whoops, sorry. I don't know if that's a lot of times when we get hurt, we want to let the person know that they affected us. And, it's easy to, like in the Bible, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, is to, hey, you hurt me, now I'm going to hurt you. Now you hurt me, and I'm going to hurt you. Where you really don't want to get to that extreme. Is that what is beautiful is when you could have a loved one or a friend or a family member where, you could put your pride down and you could say, what, I screwed up. I screwed up, I didn't realize, because if you really pay attention to the signs with the universe can let you know, or even through dreams, is that Starlight, yeah, you did something and you're not even aware of it, huh? I did what? I did what, God? What did I do? And where the universe will, if you listen to your intuition and what the universe is trying to tell you, is that you can ask, if you're having a problem with a relationship somewhere, ask the universe, why is my loved one, or why is my family member, why are they acting like they're upset? Why are they treating me this way? And it's amazing how, if you really listen, and the key is to be honest with yourself. You want to keep that relationship going. You care about that person. You love that person. And you got to be honest and real with yourself in order to get the help that, the universe can give you. Is it, if you did something and now, everything was going smooth like a week ago, and then, or even 2 weeks ago, and then you're like, something's not right with the energy. And what ends up happening is that, there's times that we find out about people, and we find out, the more you learn about each other in life, like with family or friends, is that nobody's perfect out there. And there's times that you're going to find something about somebody and you might not really actually enjoy finding that out. And, where you gotta accept them for who they are and understand that nobody's perfect. And so we gotta accept people's flaws, just like with Starlight on my YouTube channel, is there's people that could get upset. I make one video, said something, maybe I said it wrong. Maybe you didn't even understand what the heck I was saying. And this happens a lot, misunderstandings and miscommunications where, oh, I am upset with you now, Starlight. I am like, I'm not going to be subscribing to your YouTube channel. I'm out of here. Well, guess what? That person, did the person respond in the right way? No, more than likely not. Because if they have no way of communicating with Starlight and saying, hey, maybe I worded it wrong, maybe I said something wrong, and that happens. And this is what happens to a lot of relationships, is where, oh, I am offended now, Starlight. Now I'm not gonna leave comments. I'm not gonna do this or that. Instead of working together and say, and writing to Starlight and saying, hey, I really didn't understand what you meant when you said this. Maybe I worded it wrong. Maybe, that happens. And so what, are you gonna hate somebody because they worded something wrong and you didn't quite understand what they were talking about, and now you're gonna build up this wall around your heart and say, oh, I'm upset with them, I'm mad at them. And, and I'll tell you, when it comes to relationships with friends or family, there's times, like the universe will let you know, or somehow or another, the person might let you know and say, hey, I don't like what you did. I don't like how you said that. I'm offended by what you said. And, where if they told you that, you need to get right with that person, and say, oh my, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it that way. That is not what I meant. Things flew out of my mouth, and I didn't mean to hurt you. And there's times that, in relationships, and it happens over and over again, where, you could say, if somebody did you wrong, and you could verbally say, you know what, let's mend this together, let's fix this problem. And now you're like, okay, I am sorry, like this person here is like, I am sorry, I didn't mean to say what I said, it came out wrong, I wasn't thinking, I had a lot going on in my mind or whatever, and I didn't mean it that way. And this person is affected because, they think that they're getting attacked, they think they're being judged, they feel like they're being criticized. And so you got two people that are hurt because now this one, said something, this one here that really didn't mean to say what they said, but it came out. And now you got two people that are frustrated with somebody, they've known each other for years, and now they're like, we love each other enough that we want to fix this, we want to mend this together. So what can happen, and this happens in relationships, because in a love relationship is that it's so important not to go to bed angry. Rule number one, don't go to bed angry. Take care of that problem in that day, and you got to be real. You got to be real. When you say, you know, I'm sorry, that's got to be real. Are you really sorry, or are you just saying it? I heard somebody a long time ago correct their son, and when I had my cleaning business, I got to know people's business in their house. I got to know a lot of shit in people's houses. I knew families when I was in their houses, I knew that they were not happy. I could feel it, like the tension was so high when I just walk in. I'm like, uh-oh. And I couldn't wait to get out of there. They didn't have to say shit to me about anything that was going on in the relationship. I felt it. You can cut it with a knife how the tension was so horrible. I just couldn't wait. I was uncomfortable. I felt very uncomfortable in that energy in that house. So that happens with family members where they're not communicating. Some people are afraid to say what's on their mind and what's on their heart. Instead, what they do is they hold it in. They're afraid to open up. They're afraid to say, you know what? I don't like how you talk to me. I don't like how you make me feel. Instead, they build up, their heart gets hardened, and they have pain, and it's not good for you. It really absolutely is not good for you to harden your heart. And so this is what happens with relationships. You could say, oops, Starlight's got to get her leg moved around here, is you could even tell somebody, just like saying, I'm sorry, say, like people might I would be happy if they just said sorry. And then somebody's like, because little kids go through this when they're growing up, even adults, where they're like, they really weren't sorry, but they say, I'm sorry. But they really are not to that level of being really sorry. They just said it. It's just words that came out of their mouth. Now, the same thing can actually happen, and the same thing is when you got two people, no matter who they are, it will just say a love relationship where they're working on communicating. They really extremely love each other, and they realize that they both were at fault one way or another, and now they want to clear this up because they've had a long time knowing each other, and so they're both saying, hey, I'm sorry what I did to you. I'm sorry that I offended you. I am sorry that I didn't say that right. I didn't mean that. I don't know why I said that. And then the other person will, you're coming together, and you both are being real, and you're being open to settle this problem so you can move on with that, that relationship, because you do care about each other. And so sometimes people can say, I forgive you, and it could be just words. I forgive you. But what ends up happening, if we don't clear that energy out of us, it could be just words. I forgive you. But then later on, the pain is still there because they didn't clear it out of their heart space. They're holding this, the memory is still there. They're like, and then it's like a recorder, they just keep on, just like a VCR tape, like Starlight's going back in time, where you push the rewind button, and then you push the play, and then you're playing that part where you've been affected and you've been hurt, and then you rewind, and then you play, and then so it's building up, issues in your heart space where you're not fully letting it go. Is that you're making it grow. You're making this in your heart space even bigger than what it was where it started out. And now you're having a hard time to even, being real with that person because you're hurt inside and you never really fully took care of that pain in your heart space. So you could say, I'm sorry, till your face turns blue. But if you don't really mean that you're sorry, it's gonna, it's not gonna be good, because you're not really letting go. And even if you say, I forgive you, but you really didn't let it go, you didn't really forgive them yet. So you got to forgive them. And when you do that, you can actually, you got to release it. It's all like in your heart space. Your heart is so important. You might not even be aware of it, but now that person, when you're around them, you got like, you build up this wall with that person. Now it's like, you know, I'm afraid that they're going to do this again. But you got to let it go. That's what it's about. You got to let it go. Just like in any relationship, is that you forgave them. Now you got to let go. That means that you shouldn't be rewinding it and replaying again, and rewinding it and playing it again. And so then anytime their name pops up or their face pops up or you see them, your heart is hardened. So you got to release that, and you can do that through like breathing exercises, is like focusing on your heart space and releasing that energy out of your heart space. And by being real, and you might think that you were real when you said you're sorry or you forgave someone, but if it's still here in your heart space, and now your relationship is not quite like what it was like 2 weeks ago or a month ago, you got to release that, because you're just carrying that pain with you throughout the relationship. And you're going to notice that, you feel different about that person, so you gotta let that go and understand that, this is a big, huge problem in the world with people, is communication, is to open up and be real, and to say, hey, I forgave you, but I didn't let it go out of my heart space. I didn't actually release that energy, because that's what it is. It's energy that you're holding of, anger and frustration and, all these low vibrational energies. And you are not really, you got to open up your heart again to that person so they can come in and you can have that kind of relationship you had before. So it's so important to be real with yourself when you say, I forgive you. Like that means that you got to let it go. That means that you don't want to keep on bringing it back up again and say, now I don't trust that person. Now, I feel like that person's going to do it again. And they gotta actually do their part, right? Their part too is like, I'm sorry I did that. I will work on that. I got to work on that problem. I can't keep on repeating that, because it caused you pain, and I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause you pain. I didn't know that it was going to affect you that way. And so women and men, please understand that, your loved ones do have feelings, whether it's a guy or a girl, husband or wife, girlfriend or boyfriend, friends, mom or dad, is that you got to let people know how you feel. If you don't like people controlling you and telling you what to do and criticizing you, you got to use your voice and let them know. And you'd be amazed. You're being tested by the universe. The universe is testing us all the time to see how well we do. And when we do really what we're supposed to do, what the universe really wants, it's not a bad thing to use your voice. It's not bad. When you do that and you do it in a correct way, God will bless you. You can mend that relationship. You can get back to where you were before it all started, like a new slate. And that's what it's all about, is like forgiving and letting go, but not bringing it back up, and starting back off clean slate. So anyway, I hope you really get a lot of help from this video. I'm sorry, like I got cobwebs or something here. So I love you so much, is to, nobody's perfect. Believe me, Starlight's I am not perfect. We all are learning together at different ways on this journey here. So we all have things that, you might be growing in one area where I got to work on that. I might have something perfected and like, hey, I learned all my lessons on that, where you might have lessons that you got to learn, that you got to grow in. So that's why we got to accept each other, realizing that as long as you know that the person or the people are really striving to do the right thing, that's what matters. Those are the ones that you want in your life, is that you know that they are striving to do the right thing. Not that they're perfect. So don't expect anybody to be perfect. Don't expect that they're not going to have flaws. But to know and see that they're working hard, they're doing the best that they can. And those are the ones that you want to keep. Those are the keepers in life, is the ones that you know that they love you and they care about you, and that they're working, not that they're trying, they're striving to do their best to change. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. You could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family, your friends. Let me see, a salamander, I'm thinking, and a mountain lion. And you can also check out my playlist and follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook and as Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. And this is what it's about. Don't tear apart the people that are working hard. Nobody's got it perfect. So be careful, who you flush. The ones, the ones that you want to keep are the ones that you know they're doing the best that they can. Not that they're perfect. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and